In today's video, we're going to be talking about the breakout star of my last few videos. And no, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about this 8BitDo retro keyboard. It seems that every time I've used this keyboard in my videos over the last month or so, my comment section has been inundated with questions about it, like these ones, asking everything like where I got it from, who makes it, and even what switches it uses. So today I thought I'd address those questions through showcasing the keyboard and its features, plus sharing my thoughts on the 2-button accessory that accompanies it, and the optional matching mouse, and why I personally don't use it. But quickly, before I start, I do just want to say this video is not sponsored by 8BitDo. I bought the keyboard and matching mouse from Amazon myself. And I'm not a keyboard expert by any means. This is just intended to be me sharing my own experiences and thoughts. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's just pretend that I haven't been using this keyboard for the last couple of months. I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing here so you can see what else comes in the box. So I'm going to remove the lid, and I will say it does come in a very nice box. And take that off and put it over here. And of course, first up, I have the keyboard, which did initially come all bagged up. But I'll take this out and we can see what else is in here. So I've got the manual here, which obviously it comes in multiple different languages, and underneath that, these 2 sticker sheets as well. And then I've got the USB-C cable, which is for charging, and the 2-button accessory that I mentioned earlier. And these stickers here are so you can peel them off and then stick them on the buttons. But now that we've seen what else is in the box, we can get to actually looking at the keyboard itself. So why do they call this a retro keyboard then? Well, if you haven't already guessed, it's partly due to the styling, which is inspired by this console here, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Additionally, the keyboard switches that we're going to talk about later have sounds that are very reminiscent of keyboards from that era. It's also worth mentioning that as well as the Nintendo version that I have, 8BitDo also make this keyboard in a few different styles. They have a Famicom inspired version and coming soon an IBM M edition and C64 edition. Now let's talk about the specifications. The first thing to know is that this keyboard only comes in a US layout, which isn't really an issue for me as I am accustomed to switching between UK and US layouts. However, it could be a problem for other users. This is a mechanical keyboard with 87 keys featuring PBT keycaps. Switch-wise, you might be mistaken into thinking, given the sound that it makes, that they're cherry blues. However, these are white switches from another brand called Kailh. And I'll just take a couple of these keys off now so that we can get a closer look at the switches. So I've just removed some of those keycaps so we can take a closer look at those switches. And as I mentioned before, these are Kailh white switches, which are quite clicky. However, they are hot swappable. So to demonstrate, I can take this one out, and I've just got a Kailh green switch here that I can just put straight in there. And these green switches are clicky as well. However, there is a lot of different variety of switches you can choose from, like tactile, linear, quiet, etc. So you can customize the keyboard to your own personal tastes. And for those of you that want to hear the keyboard sounds without me talking over it, I'll just play a quick segment of me typing now. The keyboard has 3 different ways to connect to the computer. Wired through a USB-C cable, you can see the port for that up here. It has Bluetooth and also wireless 2.4 gigahertz. And the adapter for that, if I turn this over, is stowed at the back of the keyboard with the nice little clever magnet holding it in here. So when you want to use it, all you need to do is take it out and then plug it in to the computer. To change the connectivity method you're using, there's this dial up here where you can flick between either off, 2.4 gigahertz or Bluetooth. And next to that is a volume dial, and the sensitivity for this one can be adjusted in the software that you can download for the keyboard. And on the other side is a nice retro style red LED to show when the keyboard is on. So if I flick it on now, you can see that LED light up. Power-wise, and these are the claims from the 8BitDo website, this keyboard has a 2000 milliamp lithium-ion battery. And I haven't tested this fully yet, but the website claims that it has 200 hours of wireless use before it needs charging, which takes approximately 4 hours. And finally, let's talk about the general build quality. The keyboard has an internal aluminium plate, and although the casing is made out of plastic, it doesn't have that cheap plasticky feel that some keyboards have. It is quite robust and has some weight to it. And I'm just going to demonstrate that now by putting it on my scales. And I can confirm it weighs just over a kilo, which I think is about 2.2 pounds. So now that we've looked at the specs, and before we move on to talking about the button accessory and the mouse, it's time to give the keyboard a good test with some gameplay. And I can't think of a better game than the classic Typing of the Dead. Okay, so I've got Typing of the Dead on here. I'm just gonna press enter. I'm just gonna play arcade mode and just training mode to test it out. So obviously just typing the words that it gives me, and we'll see what my speed is at the end. Oh, pink. Cool, okay. Go fast, I've got A's so far, and a B and an A. Let's see. And you can see the keyboard is very responsive. It's pretty much instant, considering it's wireless. Straight away, is that one? Ah! Go quicker. I feel like I can type quicker than this. It's like the stress of having zombies running at you. Trouble. Clumsy, jalopy. Rank A again. Rescue the civilian enemy. Yay! Okay, I think I rescued the civilian. That's very nice.
What's gonna happen to the city?
I have no clue. Giraffe. Lorry. Booking. Right, we'll see if I get any complicated words. I've played this before, and sometimes it's more like spelling of the dead, because it gives you some really crazy words to have to spell. Like that one, Tabasco. F. The middle way. DM. Let's see. J, F, ah. This is always the hardest part. I feel like typing individual letters is way harder than actually words.
Heard a voice over there.
Okay, I think defeat 10 zombies. Let's see. The keyboard can help me here. Mango, slime, scrap, we have a hyphen, yummy, powder, booting. Is that one more? Yep, final one. I think we've done. Can I do it in under 100 seconds as well? Training mode is now over. Okay, this is where it's giving me my score. We'll see. It'll give me a rank in a second. Ranking 10th out of 100. I'll take that. That's like top 10%. Overall, I am really pleased with the keyboard itself, and I love the way that it feels and sounds when typing or even when playing games like we just saw. But now let's talk about the accessory that comes with the keyboard, this giant 2-button pad. So I've got the button pad here, and this connects to the keyboard via this 3.5mm jack. And if I just lift the keyboard up and look at the side here, we can see there's 4 different sockets that this can be plugged into, which means you can have 4 of these pads connected at one time. So I'm just gonna plug this in here, and it doesn't matter which socket I'm using, as these letters here are just for when I'm programming the buttons, and I'll just get the software to do that now. I'm just on the 8BitDo website here, and here is the page to download the software, which is called the 8BitDo Ultimate Software version 2. Although I will note that this software is only available for Windows version 10 and up. So if you are using any other OS, you are out of the luck a bit with that one. But if I scroll down, it has the features here, and the software can be used for firmware updates, setting macros, and also key mapping. Okay, so as I have had this keyboard for a while, I have obviously already got the software installed, but I've just loaded that up now. And the first thing to know is that for the software to work, the keyboard has to be connected to the computer via a USB cable, and the keyboard also needs to be switched off. Whilst this software does have a lot of features, today I'm just going to be showing you how I used it to program the buttons. So if you click on profiles here, and I've just set up a profile called test, you can see there's lots of different options, including the key mapping for both the main keyboard and also the super buttons. And there's the 4 ports here. And if you remember from before, I plugged in the buttons to port A. So if I click on that, you can see both buttons, and I can click on one of those, and you can see the loads of different options that can be used to program it. And for today, I've just set the buttons to K and L for a special reason that we will see in a second. So I did say I'd found a good use for the buttons, and here it is. As this is an NES themed keyboard, it feels only right to play an NES game. And I'm going to be playing the renowned joypad Rekka Track and Field. So here we go. Press enter, and I'm just going to be doing the 100-meter dash. And I've set the keys, like I said before, to K and L, which is the buttons to use, and we're going to be off in a second. Ready, steady, and we're off. Let's press. Try and go fast. 30 meters, 40, 50. Can we overtake him? I don't think so. 80, 90, and yay, we finished. We came second out of 2, technically last, but we'll ignore that part. So that was a bit of fun, and I've just taken apart one of these buttons here so you can see underneath, and you can see here that it is literally just a normal key switch, effectively making these buttons just giant keys. But I will say I have not actually used them much, mainly because I haven't found a practical use for them, probably due to the excessive size. So I would love to know in the comments your thoughts and what you would use them for, as it might give me a bit of inspiration. But finally, we're going to move on to talking about the matching mouse. So I've got the mouse here in its box, and I'm just going to do another little unboxing. So I'll bring it over here, I can take off the sleeve and then lift up the lid, and in here I've got the mouse and just a small manual. Okay, here is the mouse, and once again this is 2.4 gigahertz, and the wireless receiver is just in here. It takes one AA battery, and the website says that this should last 100 hours, and then there's just the on and off switch at the top. And if I turn it over, it has these 2 buttons at the top for left and right click, and an invisible scroll, the 8BitDo call a 3D touch pad, and then finally on the side there's also a D-pad as well. I will say this definitely has a unique design, unlike any mouse that I have used before, although this could potentially be to its detriment, as I do find it ergonomically lacking. It has a strange shape that makes it a bit awkward to hold for long times, and I find the buttons and the scroll a bit too far away for my fingers, which is why I personally would not use it day to day, although I do think it does look cool. So I hope you enjoyed that walkthrough of the 8BitDo keyboard that I've been using in my videos, and hopefully it was useful for those of you that have asked questions about it. I'd love to know in the comments your favourite or go-to keyboards and switches. Additionally, if you'd like to see me review any of the other equipment in my workshop, then let me know what I should do next in the comments as well. But that's all for today. I'll see you next time.